Kingdom sound.
Good morning.
Kingdom sound. Everybody say that there is a kingdom
On my side,
Say it again. There is a
this
kingdom
morning.
sound. I want you to
Hallelujah.
understand this, that there is always a sound that precedes a move of God.
Hey,
Everybody
Hallelujah.
say that there's always a sound.
Thank you, 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 God, thank you. Korabashete bebebeshe. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
That precedes
hallelujah.
the move of God. Whenever you will find deliverance, wherever you will find healing, wherever you find a move of God, it is
Hallelujah.
always associated
Thank God
with a sound.
for another day.
I want us to take just maybe 30 seconds and we're gonna sing
I have a
this song.
special guest
Raise it as
this
an offering
morning,
to the Lord, but I want us to take
but I want to honor God
just 30 seconds
and thank Him
Brother,
for
I just
His
want you to
presence. Thank Him
listen.
for strength this morning. Thank Him. God, I thank you. I like to invite Him in. I can't do anything without God. Nothing can I do without God. Hallelujah. Nothing. I don't know about anybody else, but I have to magnify God before I do whatever. But I praise Him this morning. I thank Him for God is getting ready to use this great man this morning to speak some things, to share some things with us concerning his life. His name is Maurice Hayes. He's coming to our community here in Champaign, Urbana, Illinois. Yes, he is the founder of Hood Vote, HVNT, Hood Vote Neighborhood Transformation. I mean, I can't say enough about him. He's just like a big old gift. He's a gift to the community. God has given him to be a gift to the world. See, that would try to take us out makes us stronger. See, the things that we go through is not only for us, but it's for others. To pull them out. Sometimes we can go through some hard knocks, but God can use that for his glory. Yes, he can use whom he chooses. But I thank God this morning for him. I invited him and he agreed. I tell you, have worked alongside of him, doing some things. I've just started with this group, Neighborhood Transformation. And I've been sharing about this group, but I'm going to bring him on, Mr. Maurice Hayes from Chicago, Illinois. He's now living here. He's a native of Champaign, Urbana now, because he's with us and we're embracing him in our community. He's been here for several years now. So I'm going to bring him on. I'm going to turn my music down and bring him on and allow him time and space to share with us about him and about his life. I'm going to bring him on. Mr. Maurice Hayes.
Good morning.
Good morning. And he's, very timely man. I appreciate his time and his effort to come on to share with us his life. And I tell you, like I say, he's a big old gift. It's like, what's going to come out the box of gifts? I tell you, I can sit down and you can talk to him for hours. It's so a lot of knowledge. But this man has written and it's co-authored or collaborated with other authors or other poets. But today I'm going to just share, there's 4 books. I believe there's 4, right? And this is volume 2 that I have behind these eyes. Even the cover of the book was drawn by someone that had been in prison that drew this particular. This whole book is just, it tells about his life, and it's just a book of poems concerning the things that he's gone through in life. So we're going to talk about this book, but there's also Outcry, the Rebirth. You can get these books on Amazon. Okay, this is also someone in prison. Drew, look at the gift. Drew this picture. And it's a collaboration of poems between him and a Robert K. Rush that have yet to meet. I would love to meet this man too. And there's another book, Spit with a Purpose. And here we go again. As you see, the cover was drawn by someone that had been in prison. Just look at the cover. And this book is also, he's collaborated with several, he signed my book, several other people that he's met, I believe he was incarcerated with. But these people all have poems. This is just a book of poems. And there's a list of all the people that have placed poems into this book. And it's compiled, and they've authored this book together. But we're going to talk about this one. I got another book on the way, and it's Outcry 1. So I'm excited to get that. You know, that book, I got to order this one. I just borrowed this one. As you see, I already got little stickies in it. So we're going to talk about Behind These Eyes, Mr. Hayes. A little bit about, this, because it starts off, it talks about the, just go ahead and greet us first. Let's just go.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Let's do that.
It's good to be here. Thank you for allowing me to come on this morning. I'm excited.
Yeah. You're excited, and I'm excited for you. The things that you're doing in the community is awesome. I think God led me, because I was praying. I wanted to work in the community, and I started to Google some stuff. And the other ones I couldn't, it was no number or anything, but yours came up, everything, neighborhood transformations, everything was there for me to get right in touch with you. Yeah. So how did this book come about? Can you just share a little bit about this book and about, go ahead.
Well, that's Behind These Eyes, Volume 2, which serves as my autobiography. So when I started writing that book, I wanted to chronicle my story for those who didn't know me, from childhood literally up until the day before I walked out of prison after serving 17 and a half years. So I wanted to chronicle that. And it was kind of, like I always tell you, I like to purge myself of certain things that's internally bothering me or hindering me, or maybe something that still has pain there. So with that book, it was the releasing of it all, in hopes that when I got out, I would paint a new canvas, which I'm doing now. And Volume 3 will come soon. And Volume 3, it will just chronicle. I've been free now 9 years.
9 years.
9 years, yes, ma'am. I'm approaching my 10th year anniversary this February of 22, and it may be the time where I do sit down and really start putting that together. But yeah, that's what it was. I wanted to also have something for my kids to read, to know about who I was and who I am, and some of the things that caused the change in me. And I speak about that a lot in Volume 2, because those are where the lessons are. Like, you can read any of the poems and you may be able to pull some things out of it. I just wanted to tell my story from my words, my method and process of growing up rather than growing old, and the purpose that God had given me through the gift that He had given me as well. And that's to bring something different to this generation of kids and the generations to come that will prevent them from enduring what I did.
Wow. I tell you, reading, when I started to read, it talks about insecurities in your book. It talks about some insecurities. It says the security that's attached to a mother's love died the very moment she did.
Yeah.
Insecurities. What, can you break that down a little bit? What kind of insecurities?
So
A little bit.
the securities that your mom provides, you gotta think that's your womb, that's your vessel, that's the person that knows you greater than anything else. She literally carried me inside of her body before she met me physically.
Mm-hmm.
And the relationship that we had. My mom died when I was 8, and so all those things that a mom gives to a young man or even a daughter, but a mother's love is different for a son. And she teaches you what women are, how women are, what to expect out of women, kind of the opposite of what men are supposed to do for their daughters. So that nurturing, that loving, that unconditional love, that extreme connection that you only have with a mom, it kind of left when she did. Um, I never had that anymore, and those insecurities that came from that are the things that I missed out. Those lessons that she can give. I kind of missed out on those things. So for a long time in my life, a lot of years in my life, I walked around with this emptiness inside of me, not really understanding and knowing. And I feel like the lessons that I missed were only those that a mom can give her son.
Right. Because I read you said you had a giant hole in my soul, in your spirit, because our
It's
soul.
still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there. It'll never go anywhere. um,
Mhm.
we kind of feel it or try to fill it with other things, and try to involve yourself in other things that may generate a calming of that you feel when she leaves. So I think that was part of my growth, trying to figure out ways to live without her, where it didn't hinder me as much,
Mhm.
where her absence wasn't, the weight that's going to keep continuing to pull me down. The way that I dealt with my mom's death and the way that my brother dealt with her death are totally different, right? You never get over that kind of stuff. But for him, I think he kind of placed him still like in his childlike behavior, and it still placed him in uh, that vulnerable stage. And you'll read in the book as well, where for me, in order for me to grow, I had to release those vulnerabilities and insecurities, because as long as I had those things, it would stop me from being the man that I'm supposed to be just because I suffer from it. So part of my growth was to rid myself of those things, to
Right.
rid myself of the insecurities, right? To rid myself of the vulnerabilities or being ashamed of being vulnerable, right? And just to be my true natural self. Um, that's the only way I feel like her essence will still shine through, and I still represent her in everything that I do.
So after she passed away, after she died, how moving forward, what did you have to go? What kind of things did you go through after she passed away? Could you share what kind of things as a 9-year-old? You 9? You said 8. She died at 8, or you were 8 or
Yeah,
9?
she died when I was 8, going into my ninth birthday. Yep.
Right. So who
Um,
took hold of you?
Man, that's a great question. Out of all these years of me doing interviews, no one has ever asked that particular question.
Really?
No. Um, I don't know, right? Even in my reflection now, it was a lot of confusion. You know, um, Part of it though was, my brother and I, we used to hear her make this tape, right? So
Mhm.
this is a little backstory. So
Uh-huh.
every Sunday, and I still have this habit now, but every Sunday my mom would clean. She would turn the music on and she would clean. She would send me and my brother to our room.
Uh-huh.
And we used to hear her consistently making this tape.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for us, the fortunate part about it was that tape was her instructions in the event of her passing. So my mom knew she was passing. She knew something
What?
was wrong. Yeah, she knew something was wrong. And so she decided to make the tape. And we heard the tape after she passed at my grandma's house,
Mm.
with her speaking about us, letting people know where she wanted us to go and who she wanted to take care of us and things like that. So initially, when she passed, there was a lot of confusion, like how you know when you ain't say nothing. I know now in my adult age that there's no preparation time for anything like that. And then when you have kids, I have grandkids now, so how can you tell your child you're about to die or you're about to leave? So I understood that now, but back then it was just confusion, a lot of anger. I grew angry. I felt by myself, felt alone. I felt like there was nobody there, even though we were surrounded by relatives. Uh, and I use that word relatives rather than family. We were surrounded by relatives. It still was lonely, right? Because the things that you would expect your relatives to do, unfortunately, mine weren't able to do those things.
Okay.
So, it kind of left me and my brother fended for ourselves until we moved in with my great aunt, which was our lifesaver in real life. Um, but we stayed with her for 5 years and ultimately ended back up in Chicago. I ended up back in Chicago. Probably I was 13 years old.
Right.
So we ended back out west, and again, I go that feeling again, like you're not wanted, like nobody wants you. Your mom is the only one that, like even now, your mom is the only one that you can guarantee is gonna be the one to take care of you, no matter what, right? So at that point, we didn't have that no more. So it's us fending for ourselves, pretty much.
When you say fending for yourself, what kind of things you had to do to fend for yourself?
Well, when we left Bellwood, we actually was supposed to move in with my dad, right? But that didn't happen. So he placed us with some of his relatives, which provided us shelter, right? They provided us a meal, but it wasn't a good living situation for kids. If I'm 12, my brother's 13. I'm 13, my brother's 14, so we're still young. So that kind of led me to the street, really. They kind of I didn't really like the place that I was at, and I had met a few people and I ran away. So and I started hustling, and that became the lifestyle. That became the day-to-day thing.
What were you like out there hustling? What kind of guy were you out there on the hustle?
I don't know.
Tell
I
us
don't
what you
know.
was like. If I came
let,
up and met you, what kind of guy
huh?
were you then? If I met you back then, what kind of guy was you back then? Give me a little taste of what you was like. Tell me what you was
I
like.
probably was a more untamed version of who I am now. I guess I could put that. Um, I was wild. I was wild. I love getting money. I love jewelry. I loved hanging out. Um, it was the lifestyle that you know. Even though we were doing wrong, right, in every aspect of it, it was a lifestyle that afforded me the things that I had never had before, right? So it gave me that kind of thing, and the person that I grew into was a an image. I guess I adopted the image of what the streets pretty much gave me, right? When I started hustling, resell drugs. When I started doing other stuff, Reese do that kind of stuff. So I kind of morphed into the image that the neighborhood gave me. So I was a fake version of who I am now. And I say that because that wasn't me. That wasn't the person that I grew up as. It's just I guess I was able to adapt to that situation and be successful in it for the most part, without me going to prison. But I was able to adapt in it, and I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid.
Bad
I
kid.
used to just do stuff just because people expected me to do it. Really.
So do you think that what you what went on in your life, did it cause you to be, spiritually, were you angry,
Oh
what,
yes.
bitter, because
I
there's
was
a lot of
extreme.
kids that are going through that right now.
I was extremely angry, extremely bitter.
Mm-hmm.
Had an attitude problem. I didn't listen to nobody. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I endured all those things, and that's why I say you asked a great question because I never really dove into,
Mm-hmm.
how I was feeling at the time. I know I can draw the lessons from it, but I never really thought about my emotional state or my mental state at that time. I
Mm-hmm.
guess because I was just moving the way that life had sent me. I can't answer for anything in the 44 years of my existence, but God has always had His hand on me. He's always had me covered,
Mm-hmm.
even when I didn't believe or practice or acknowledge Him. I've always been okay, and I know it's through the grace of God.
Now, as you went on through, I read your book, and it's just it is. I mean, I know I read a lot about the earlier stages of your life, but as time progressed, you got off into the drugs. You talked about that. What led up to you going to prison? What led up to that? What caused that? How did that evolve? And
Um,
what
without
happened?
going too far into it,
Right.
um, it was a drug thing. It wasn't a gang banging kind of
Okay.
situation. It was a dispute over money, um, and it caused a young man to lose his life. And you know, to this day, I kind of, not to have it as a slap in the face to his family or anything, but I kind of live my life for him.
Mm.
Right? I try to do things now with him in mind because
Mm. I figured that.
his life wasn't my life. Right? I just didn't. He wasn't the only one affected in his death, right? His kids was, his mom was, his sisters were, his family were all affected, and it's continual, right? So even though I served the time in prison, for me, my life has to mean something now, right?
Exactly.
Right? I have to allow my life to be some kind of vessel that reflects him as well, right? Because he was a troubled kid like I was, you understand? And where could he be now? Right? I look at myself now, and you can pose the question like, had his life not been taken, where would he be now?
Right now.
Right? And even some of the residual effects, his kids. I don't know where they are, and I pray that they are well. His mom and his family, I pray everyone is
Mm-hmm.
well. But if they're not, could that have been the cause of it? Right?
Mm.
Removing that man from that structured place, right? So, no, even now, like I say, a lot of things that I do with his memory involved. And when I speak at these different places about what we're talking about now, I often acknowledge him, and and I pray that he resting in peace, and that kind of stuff. It's weird though. Uh,
No, I think it's wonderful. I can feel the remorse, even I can feel that,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, no doubt.
and I can agree with you on that because even I've offended people in my reckless behavior because you and I, we have some similar differences in the lifestyle and the things. I went to jail and almost went to prison for a very long time. And
Mm.
I'm just saying, that when you harm people, it's like that's the thing that I think about. It's like now I got to, I live for God now, but I also lived. I live for the people that I offend. It would be a slap in their face to go back to doing some other stuff that I used to do.
Right, no
You
doubt.
know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So yeah, you move forward. So that's really good that you made that statement. It just took my mind to that place. What I think about sometimes. I thank God for you. I really do.
Thank you.
And then you're moving forward. I just see you so passionate about what you do, and those are some of the things that you're passionate about, getting the children off of the street. Now, as I went on in your book, you talked about your father. I mean, I know you touched a little bit on him, but it's something that you said about him, that Yeah, I want just to read just a little insert. Just 'cause when I was a child, think this is the one. Maybe not. Maybe that's not the one. Maybe it is. Okay. You talked about your father, like you said, he had pretty much a lot, just let relatives to take over. And it says it was during this time that my dad became my dad. This is after your mom. Oh no, I'm gonna let you get to that. This is a part after her death. He was the same. You're talking about your dad.
Mm-hmm.
When we became his full responsibility, he was less. Imagine a 13, 14-year-old child homeless, literally sleeping on porches or having to sneak in a friend's house to sleep. My reality was that my lifestyle dictated my actions. Those actions eventually cost me 17 and a half years of incarceration. And then it goes on to talk about your dad in another way. Could you share a little bit about that part of the book that switched some things, that changed some things
Yeah.
concerning your father?
So yeah. So as you just read, my dad was kind of like a birthday, Christmas, graduation every now and again kind of dad. Like we saw him, we knew him, but we really didn't have the relationship with him. It wasn't until I was convicted that we actually grew a relationship and a bond and like
Really?
when I caught my case, like my dad stood up, like
Mm,
literally for real. Uh, and fortunately enough, I was able to bond out for my case. Um, I was home for 2 weeks before I caught another case. I caught
wow.
I caught a gun case. I bonded out July 12th, 1995, and I got locked back up August 1st, 1995, for a gun case. And it was like in that time when I went back to jail, because my dad came, my dad was the one that someone gave my dad the money. He came to the county jail to get me, and
Mm,
he was so excited to see me home. But then when I went back to jail 2 weeks later, he was so disappointed. But I think that's when he stood up. That's when he really started giving me those talks. Like I can remember calling my dad 3, 4 times back
really?
to back on the phone, and we just kicking it, right? And then when I eventually got convicted and sent to prison, he was the only one coming to see me. Come see me, sit with me for hours, and like we really grew a strong bond and an understanding of one another, man. And he apologized to me, I apologized to him, and he talked to me about my mom and all that stuff that I had no knowledge of. And whenever I needed him, he was there. Always when I was in prison. Unfortunately, though, my dad passed
Really?
6 years before I came home.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. He battled cancer,
Mm,
um, and he gave it a great fight, man. Even when he was sick, he was still coming to see me. He was still working. He was a blues singer. His name was Willie Kent. Yeah, he's really big in Chicago blues scene, really big overseas. Even to this day, my dad, he had like 27 albums.
wow.
And yeah, and he went through his own struggles too. Like he wasn't, my dad came to Chicago at 13, right? From the Delta, from Mississippi, and working, got enough money to bring my granny and them up here. And, he bought a house for his family, and he was a successful dude, man. He was a great man. I think he was selfless
Hmm.
to those that he knew he had to take care of. And I have brothers and sisters, his other kids that he made sure that they were good. But that was his family on the real. Like you got to understand, he was married to my stepmom for 50 plus years. And his struggles too. Even he felt bad about the relationship that we had, and my brother and I had with him. It hurt him. I think that's when I went to prison. It was made him really say, "Well, I got to take care of my kids. I gotta do something." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
you went to prison at age 17, was it?
yes, ma'am.
17. So the age you started to connect with your dad was around that time.
Yes, ma'am. Really, literally, yeah, yeah, yeah. We really started kicking it around that time.
It sounds to me as you were talking, it sounded like to me, and you were saying how y'all developed that relationship. It's like you became that little boy that needed his father at that time,
Real talk,
and you started to grow up as he started to talk to you and pour into you.
facts.
So
That's absolutely 100% true.
yeah. So that was really good. That was really good. And I know that you have lots of poems, and I know you're gonna do one of the poems. You're gonna do some spitting. Can you just explain to us what's behind? Because as I read right concerning spit with the purpose. Can you explain a little bit about spit with the purpose? Because when you
Yeah,
talk, you be spitting, spitting.
right.
Right?
So,
Explain
so,
a little bit about that.
so one of the terminology that we use as not only spoken word artists, but rappers, everybody, we say spit, right? So for me, spit with a purpose is social problems intellectually translated. That's the spit part, SPIT,
Uh,
with a purpose. So when I realized that I had the gift of spoken word and I could write, the purpose for me is to put that language inside the art form that will cultivate change and growth.
mm,
Right? If you read my poems, everything is kind of like a testimonial because it's literally talking about the evolution and the growth of me. So if I'm going to try to give someone some keys, so to speak, or some extra knowledge that they need, I could do it while I'm spitting, right? I could do it while I'm entertaining you. Because, most music now, especially the young people music, it talks about so much death and destruction and really not, it's not really growing anyone or adding any
right.
value to the listeners, right? It's really doing
Exactly.
the opposite of it. So
Hmm.
for me, when I spit, I want you to be entertained by the knowledge and the understanding of what this culture is, and I want to give it to you while entertaining you. I want you to bob your head, but I
Hmm.
want you to hear what the words are as well. I want you to feel like you can dance, but I want you to hear what the words are saying to you as well. And if it resonates in you, now you have the lesson and the teaching that you can go give to that young person that sits beside you daily, or that young girl that sits beside you daily. You can give them the added encouragement that maybe one of my poems gave you. So social problems intellectually translated, and the purpose is to change.
Purpose is change. And I hear some of the spoken word artists, they vent. It's like a venting. They
Hell
vent.
yeah.
And I've heard some things. It's like wow. And they vent while they're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a release. A lot
Yeah,
of times for me, it was therapeutic.
right.
Um,
Therapeutic.
it's therapeutic. Yeah, it's writing down those thoughts that maybe you can't express to anyone else. One of the things that I did in my healing process when I was in prison was I literally wrote letters to my mom. Remember when I told you that uh, it's the giant hole inside.
Right.
So during my metamorphosis, so to speak, when I would feel those things, I literally wrote letters to her. Dear
Mm-hmm.
mom, how you doing? I hope all is well. And I tell her what I was feeling, and then I'll ball the letter up and I'll throw it in the trash.
A
Literally.
release.
It's
Yeah.
the release. It's the purging.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that
Oh,
now,
hallelujah.
even to my kids at Youth Bill, when I speak to them, because I know a lot of these babies are dealing with a lot of trauma with so much stuff going on in Champaign Urbana. Um, all my kids, they losing their friends and
Mm.
brothers and stuff to this gun violence, and they be bottled up. Like all the stuff is bottled up in them, which causes them to explode, which causes them to take small things as disrespectful. So I tell them all the time, like, and I only tell them because I did it myself. Write that down.
Mm.
Go somewhere. Go sit in your room somewhere. When you sit in your room, depressed or you feeling angry or whatever, write it. Get it out you. Because the more you keep it in, the more it festers. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep growing because you have to get it out. And if you can't talk to anyone, if there's no counselors or anyone that you can talk to, man, talk to yourself. Put it on paper, or just talk it, just speak it, just get it out. For me, that did a lot of healing. For me, like I'm still trauma filled, and if the process of healing is a continued process, but I know what the process is,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not discounting any. I would love for kids to be able to go to therapy and things like that, but I would love more for someone that's really caring for these babies,
Mm-hmm.
that really care for them, that really trying to pour into them, to be able to just sit down and let them talk.
You're right. Let them
That's
talk.
what I do with my kids. I let them talk the way that they want to talk. I
Mm-hmm.
let them say what they want to say, and I let them get it out.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to let them get it out. You find so many times the judgments of these babies hinders them from actually finding an adult to talk to, because there's so much judgment that's tied to these young people. And the language that they use, some people call it offensive, and things like that. But if that's how they have to express themselves, you got to let them do it. You got to be
Yeah.
adult enough to do it.
Rather that than they take some matching light and burn the house down and go home
Yeah,
pick up a gun. So yeah, and it starts even as kids. As you were talking, I remember even as I got whooped. We call them whoopings.
yes,
Stop all
yes,
that
sir.
crying. Stop crying. I give you something to cry about. That's
Right,
something that in our
right.
culture, those kind of things were said. Now
Yeah,
I do
facts.
things. Yeah, I do things different. My grandbabies. I got a 6-year-old. And I can tell that he's gone through some trauma. He's gone through some little things in his little life, even at 6. But I tell him, I've seen him when I don't do things he wants me to do. I said, no, no, I can't do that. And he'll be wanting to cry. I said, go ahead. It's okay to cry. And
Hmm.
they'll start wailing up big old tears and
Yeah,
start
yeah,
crying. Show them you can release that. Go ahead and
yeah.
cry. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think one of the worst things that's been passed down through generations, especially for young boys, is uh, you a punk if you cry.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah,
men don't cry. Who the hell told you that? Like,
right.
men don't cry.
Yeah,
That
right.
that that we try to get away from that too, because sometimes that's the release. Like India Irie said, she say it's like taking your soul to the laundromat,
Right.
right? Say
Uh-huh.
crying is like taking your soul to the laundromat, and you washing all that stuff off you. So
Right.
yeah, I don't encourage crying. It's not like we're gonna cry, but if you are crying, that don't make you no weak. That don't make you weak. That don't make you less of a man because
Right.
you're crying.
That's right.
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. My
Sure.
dog
That's
is
all
speaking.
right. That's all right. We're just taking a quick pause. He has animals just like me, you know. My dog usually pedals in the back. She usually hangs out with me in here. She's not in here this morning. I don't know where she's at now. But he's a dog lover like me. But this is not over because we got tomorrow. He's going to be on tomorrow morning too. So we're going to have some in-depth, more questions and some things he's going to share concerning what he's doing with the youth, because he's doing some things and we need people that's going to get in contact and can touch the youth in a way that will cause them to change. We need that. We need that.
Sorry about that. I'm
No,
so
that's
sorry about
okay. I was just telling them I got the dog. I got dogs too. It's fine. This is a show. This is where we're gonna be ourselves. Be yourself. That's what I want you to be, who you are. Because it's all about what we need to gather. People need to hear some things that you have to say. And as you were talking, I know some of your inspirations. I know you're talking about the youth and the things like that, and the things that can inspire them. I know Maya Angelou, I read how, those writers, those poets inspired you, so
that. Yeah, like like when I was in prison, one of the things that helped me to become a better man was just reading and learning about the history of us as Black people.
Mm-hmm.
I've only read one urban novel in my life, and it's titled "The Coldest Winter Ever" by Sister Soldier. But what that did was it opened up my appetite to read. So when I started reading the different books and learning that I wasn't the little African kid that you see on the TV with the flies around them and the fat bellies, when I learned
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't that Black ghetto child that society had deemed me as, when I learned that through my bloodline is royalty. Through
Yeah.
my bloodline is architecture. Through my bloodline is professors and engineers. That's innately in me from coming from where I come from, right? The descendant of where I come from. Because I'm an American. I let everybody know that in the gate. I've never been to Africa in my life, but I'm a descendant. I'm a descendant
Yeah.
of those great people over there. And part of the thing, as we grew up, we never learned about that. So the only thing we had to judge ourselves on was the imagery that America had
Right.
continually portrayed us as,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I often say this, sometimes we try to emulate the stereotypes,
Mm.
right? It's not who we are, facts, right?
Uh-huh.
But the stereotypical view that society paints of us, oftentimes we chase it. We try to
I
bring
think that's what
fruition
we
and
should be.
truth to what they're saying. But it wasn't until I realized, like, yo, I descend from greatness, bro. Like the place where I'm sitting in now, this prison, like one of the greatest men in the world, Malcolm X, went through the same thing.
You
But when he
did.
descended from that place, he
Oh,
knew who he was.
oh, that's the state.
Unapologetically, yeah, unapologetically, he knew
Mm-hmm.
who he was. So in my growth process and me learning those things myself, a lot of those insecurities went away, right? A lot of those vulnerabilities went away because I grew pride
Mm-hmm.
in me. Like in one of my pieces, I think I'm gonna perform that for you later. My mother don't know me. I say her strength shows in the. I say uh, her strength shows in my toes, and this is the reason why I love the spreading of my wide nose, because these were all the things, the physical features that as a child people used to make fun of,
Uh-huh.
right? So that drew me into a little shell myself of
Uh-huh.
insecurity. But when I learned that, man, all my people, man, I look just like everybody else, right? I just don't know about this place. So it's my job to learn it. And
Yeah.
so that grew me. And I try to teach my babies that. I try to teach all my kids that. Like, you got to be secure and proud of who you are. And don't set your standards based on what society say you is. And don't go try to chase that goopy stuff that they're making popular now,
Mm-hmm.
right? All this stuff are fads that mainstream America has made popular, and now you see our kids emulating it.
Mm-hmm.
From the dreads,
To
like we
all,
know what dreads stand for. We
right.
know that that's our main. It shows strength, but every kid from the time that dreads became popular, any young Black male that you see with dreads, you automatically equate him to being some kind of thug or criminal.
Yeah.
That goes on to this day. So those young people, when I say we try to emulate society stereotype of us, if you think about all these young men now that you see, they all look the same. They all got
Mm-hmm.
dreads, they all got saggy pants. So for me, that's a description. You fit the description. So if they call out over the radio, young man with dreads with saggy pants, that's
Mm.
everyone now,
Right,
young
right
man
here.
you
Yeah.
see out here.
That's a good way of looking at that.
They fit the
Wow.
description. And it became popular, even like the young sisters, bro. I said this a few years back.
Come on.
When I saw music and the hip hop industry taking over the gang bang culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when they really that drill music stuff, when that stuff really came out, I was still in prison, and some of my comrades and I used to discuss this in prison. Like they was really playing the gang banging music on the radio, on WGCI, on a national across Chicago, but they was really gang banging. And then the next voice you'll hear him say, "Put the guns down." Like, how the hell can you promote the music and then on the
Man,
other
tell
end
me.
and say, "Put the guns down"?
Mm.
That culture has evolved to what we see now. So when I saw that, I say the next thing they're gonna do is they're gonna go after the little sisters. And I'll be sure as shit stink. The next thing you hear is young women talking about sex and popping their stuff and how wet they stuff is, like that kind of language. And when you
Right.
look at these young women, they fit the description too. So if you see these superstars on TV with orange hair, these funny looking
Oh.
clothes and all that stuff, and this is what they talking about that they're doing, now
Mm-mm.
you see our little sisters out here. They
Big
got orange hair,
eyelashes.
wearing the same with ceiling fans on their face
Yeah.
because they fit the description, and it's so marketable now.
It
Like
is.
everything you see is emulating the culture. Like from hip hop housewives of Atlanta, like you got grown women 40 years old on there fighting like they teenagers. What
Mm-mm.
kind of example do you set
Wow.
for the young people, right? Like,
Wow.
and these are people that are these are influencers or celebrity figures
Right.
that our young people are looking
Looking
to.
at. Mm-mm.
They're looking to them, and they trying to be everything that they see these people being. And America is profiting off of the music industry. It's exploitation at its best. It's
Yeah.
really exploitation and indoctrination all at one time. And we so detached from it that we don't provide the education and the lessons to our young people so they don't fall into it. We don't give them a different example to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And
Somebody go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah. And no, you good because all they doing is making money off of them. They making a
Yeah,
lot of money.
it's money. It's
Yeah,
money.
it's all about
Like
money.
even the young people that I have, and I call all of them my kids. So when you hear me talk about my
Yeah.
kids, I'm talking about my young people. And they'll be the first to tell you, like, Mr. Maurice don't play that. Like I tell them about it. Like, and I keep it real with them. I love them. So I don't want to give them anything that would hinder them or put a crutch on them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they can fly as high as they want to on their own if someone helps to cultivate their thought. Like the thought is the cause of it all.
The
If I
thought.
keep telling you that you ain't nothing
Mm-hmm.
and you ain't gonna be nothing, then that's gonna consume you.
Yeah.
But if I tell you you're
Believe
great
it.
and how can I help you become that, or what do you need from me to help you succeed, and then I stand behind them and I push them in that, then there you go, different outcome, different way of living, a different thought process. And a lot of cats like us from the neighborhoods, we've never seen the other side of what square living, so to speak, looks like.
Mm.
Right? When you in the field, you in the field.
Uh-huh.
That other side of life, a lot of times, oftentimes, we don't get to experience it.
Experience it.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So for me, and for a lot of my comrades who've all experienced the field side of life, now that we on this other side, it's like, bro, why we
New.
don't tell our kids about this?
Wow. Yeah.
Why
New.
we don't feed them this? Why we don't inject this into
Mm-hmm.
them? But I don't know. It's just, I guess you have to, and I hate to say it, but I guess you have to come from that in order to
No,
see where it's
understand.
going and what it's doing. I often tell people, like, you can't really know what's going on in these neighborhoods if you've never rocked in the neighborhoods. Right? You can't make no decisions about how hope communities from behind the desk
Mm.
because you're doing it from your perception, from your perspective.
Right. That's why I
You
said
got
you out there. You out there in the trenches. You've experienced it, and you out there in it.
that's
You know?
that's the only reason why I deal directly with the neighborhoods. Like I go to the schools, I deal with the schools, but I'd rather go to the student neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
than meet them at school. I'm gonna go on your block with you. Like, cause if I can catch you over here in this element, I can put your mind right where you can be successful in this other element.
Right.
But if I come to the school where you acting up all the time, you steady acting up, once I leave you at school, and you go home, that environment may be the reason why you're doing the opposite. Right? So I want to meet you where you at. I want to meet your mama. I want to meet your
Right.
daddy. I want to meet your parents. Right? I want to shake their hand and let them know who I am. Like that kind of relationship building where I can be some kind of influence on these babies.
Right, right. Wow, that's really good. That's so good. Yeah, you meet, and back
And
then,
I do it with no
years ago,
ulterior motive.
right, and
Like I
years
do it with
ago,
no ulterior motive.
yeah,
I ain't trying to do nothing but change some lives.
change
Right?
some lives.
Change some lives at this level. Because these are gonna be the next parents. What up, boo? These are gonna be the next parents. So if I can instill something different,
Mm-hmm.
if I can instill something different in the young people that's gonna be the next parents, then when they have their kids, they'll have those new tools to give to their babies.
And you making me think back to like when I was coming along, somebody up the street say you did such and such. Your parents believe. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had a hand in helping that parent. And
Yeah.
nowadays it's like parents are so they're like their kid can't do no wrong. Some of them are kind of like they think somebody's gonna hurt them or something like that. But you saying you go and you meet them and you shake their hand.
Yeah.
Try to, and that shit shows that you're trying to help them, to nurture them, to help, because it takes more than the parent. It takes
Yeah.
more than the father and mother. It took more people in my life to get to where I am today. My mom didn't do everything.
Right.
So yeah, and my dad didn't do everything. It took people coming together, to help me to get to, where I need to go, go in life.
And I think
Pastors, there's many people God could use. Yeah.
we've moved so far away from that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where because I can remember me getting in trouble by the neighbor down the street, and then they'll take me home. I get my butt whooped by my uncles and my mama. But now it's so weird because you can have a kid
Mm-hmm.
cuss an adult out to the point of total disrespect, and if you react in a certain way, or if you cuss the child back out, they gonna go get their parent, and their parent gonna be ready to fight you. But as the adult, you gonna be like, well, your child was disrespectful to me. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll still be ready to jump down your throat because they still carry the same they still carry the same anger or whatever it is that they carry. And I often say that what we go through is generationally passed down. Like High
Mm-hmm.
Hope Area's been High Hope Areas for
Yeah.
60 years. Like they still talking about the same thing. The ghettos and the impoverished communities, and we gonna do this but the ghettos and the impoverished communities in these High Hope areas been that way for 30 years. And really no one is actually going inside of these areas. It's like its own closed off, fenced in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And
Escape.
everything that go on in this jail right here, we're gonna lead them
Leave
over there
it
to
in there.
deal with it.
And see, I see that's you talking about your mission, the things that God is using you to do. And that, that's awesome. That's awesome because you're transforming. We're gonna get into that about, we're almost at an end time because you got more to say. It's more that has come from Spit with a Purpose. More is derived from just the start, and you found in that. And I want to give you the opportunity. Did you want to say? Let me let you say something else because you on fire now.
I often when I talk, I just want people to think outside the box. Like we so used to this, I call it the abnormality of normalcy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the abnormal things that we see on the daily have become normal, right? Think about all the death that's going on in Champaign, Urbana,
Yeah.
right? I see when it happened, it tears my soul up. You was at the event the other day when I heard about one of my young men getting shot, right? I immediately shut the show down and I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
You don't, bro.
Come on.
When these young people down here losing their life so
Yeah.
fast, the only thing you see about it from people is Facebook gossip,
Yeah.
fucking quotes and all this old funny stuff. But who's doing it? Where you at, right? Like how you, bro? I'm getting pissed off because it pains me to see parents not caring. Parents not caring, bro. Like they so wrapped up in this culture that like they don't they know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? Even to the point, man, they shot somebody and killed somebody's mama, man.
Wow. Oh. Horrible.
And you see the same
cycle
shit over and over again.
The same cycle.
And all these people talking about they care about this and we're going to do a program. Ain't no program in the world that's going to stop gun violence.
Wow.
No program ever in the world. That's other tentacles to it that creates the gun violence. Right? Those other parts is how you take the guns out the hands. Opportunity providing, job providing, career providing. But you can't expect the hood to come find you. You got all these resources. We in Champaign, this is a college town.
Sure is. With
all
money.
This money out here, but you want the neighborhood to come to you and find it. You get money for the same neighborhoods, but you want them to come to you and find it. Man, take it to them.
Right, because it's needed.
I self-fund, my wife and I self-fund everything that we do.
Come on. I know you
everything.
do.
And the kids will tell you, Mr. Maurice gonna hit your hand, you do something good. I'm gonna buy the equipment for you to start your own business if that's what you want to do.
I've seen.
I'm gonna help you get I'm gonna help you get the training you need out of my pocket if this something you want to do. But you got all these other people around here just sitting by letting these kids die. Another T-shirt, another balloon release. Right? I never know when somebody gonna have a gun in their hand or who they gonna aim it at. I don't know that. Don't nobody in the world know that but the people that's doing it. But what I can say is we know all the things that contribute to gun violence. We know what it is. We've been talking about it for forever. The same high-risk communities, the language they use, high-risk communities or impoverished neighborhoods or at-risk communities. How long we going to say that? And how many more decades and generations going to go past before we decide, well, the funds that we say we getting for these areas, how about we use them over there?
Right. To straighten, to make a change.
How about we take this money for real and place it right where they need it? Like in some of the high hope areas in Champaign, bro, they don't even have street lights.
Yep, they sure don't. I lived in one. They don't have
street lights, they don't have sidewalks.
Nope, they sure don't. I lived in one and wanted something so bad for them kids to catch the bus.
Come on, man.
They could get hit because there was no lights,
And when there's no lights, it's easy for you to.
Oh, you are on.
When there's no lights, it's easy for you to put on all black and walk through that and start shooting. Ain't nobody gonna see. Ain't no lights.
That's happening.
So one of the initiatives with HB&T was we was gonna go out and pick areas. That's why I was trying to get like block clubs again, like community beautifications and community cleanups, where we can get our own money together and go to one of these little hardware stores and get those lights that you can just put on the side of people's houses.
Wow.
It'll illuminate the block. But we have to take onus of that. The community, we gotta stop asking these same people that ain't did nothing for us all this time to keep doing for us. At some point, we gotta decide we're gonna take it back ourselves. At some point, we gotta say we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because we steady waiting on these politicians and these preachers and these pastors and these churches to do something.
I was just
these same people we want to help us are the same people that's judging us. Are the same people that want to be as far away from us as they possibly can. Wow. But these the same people we want to help us. That don't make sense. We got to do it.
Got to help.
And I'm getting fired up. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I mean, hey, you just telling it like a TI is. You making some true statements, and
it's gonna be factual. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It's facts. Because I was just thinking about that scripture. Prayer without works is dead. That
It's
means
dead, yeah.
right. Faith without works is dead. You can pray, but if you don't work it, it ain't gonna do that. It's dead. It ain't even alive anymore. We got to pray and act on it. No, we gonna pray. I be here like, okay, let's pray, but we got to do something.
You got to do something.
You got to do something. We can talk, but what you doing? Are you out there doing something? What are you doing? So that's why I said I was on the video on one of my lives. I said, the Lord had called me. He said, I want you out in the community. I want you out there. And that's what I'm so glad I joined in with you. And I'll be coming in. I'm like, what you want me to do?
That's real.
So
and it's not. And I tell people, it's not about money, right? It's about sweat equity. Like, how much of yourself are you willing to invest in a community where you live and in kids you don't know?
Yeah,
it just can't be a hot topic. Like right now, in this time right now, and I'm gonna be honest, gun violence is a hot topic. It's a hot topic. Years ago, it wasn't as hot of a topic as it is now, but it was still going on. It was still going on. I can remember sitting in places having conversations with these people about what needed to be done then in order to prevent what's going on now. They weren't hearing it. Right? And it's not a blame, and I say it all the time when I speak, but it's just bringing truth to the fact that if we get in front of things before it escalates and be honest, use a little bit of integrity in your approach to stuff. Right? If we put those efforts in early, it prevents this.
Right. It offset it. Yeah.
Right. Like, think about this, yo. Bro, they shooting up people's mama houses.
Yeah, they sure are.
And these are the same kids that went to these high schools, these elementary schools, that played on these AAU teams. These are cats that motherfuckers in this neighborhood know. That they know, bro. And it's like you get fame for knowing these cats. Right? You get fame for, like, I was a shooter. I got people that were shooters when we was in the world, right? And I understand, like, even as a drug dealer, like, the reputation that comes with being related or connected to a drug dealer or a shooter, it brings some kind of notoriety to the people that surround them. Yeah. It does. It does. It does.
Yeah.
It does. Right?
Talking about.
Yeah, it does. But when it gets to a point of epidemic, like, just think about per ratio between Champaign-Urbana and Chicago. Chicago is huge.
All right.
Champaign is small. We chasing them with the murders.
We sure are.
We chasing it.
You ain't kidding.
This how weird it is. Everybody know each other. Everybody know each other. And you can't go, like, I got some homeboys down here that used to be in it, right? But I can grab them. Like, I got them now. You see them with me. I got them now. They ain't indulging
in that. They sure aren't.
So I be telling people like this, like, even if you don't know me from Adam, yo, hey, come to my office. Let's sit down and figure out a way to stop it.
Right.
Because there's nothing else that's gonna come from it. There's nothing else coming. Only thing that's coming is death and incarceration, back to back, 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 back to back. Like, we live on a college campus, bro. How many of our kids have actually been to U of I? How many have actually went to the campus and seen the campus? How many have took tours? Like, in recent time, I don't give a what you did in the 80s. I'm talking about now. With all this stuff going on, how can we figure out a way to change the thought process? Right, because it's the thought process. The thought is the cause of it all. It's the cause of it all. How can we for real get in there and change it? Or even develop a relationship with the young people around you where they will listen to you. Like when I come around, I ain't saying all my kids innocent. I'm not, but when Mr. Maurice come around, they cease and desist with all that funny stuff.
Uh-huh.
They cease and desist with it. Because they know Mr. Maurice don't play that.
Right.
I'm trying to speak life into you.
Exactly.
Right? And I don't need to be, as you know, I don't need to be on no fucking cameras all the time. My manager be telling me now, because I'm an artist too. Yeah. So my manager be telling me all the time, you need to start doing these Instagram videos and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm more comfortable with talking to people than to a phone.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable with going to my kids and talking to them or them calling me and I'm giving them what they need than I am about. I don't care about no fame and all that old funny stuff, bro.
Right.
I'm trying to save some lives. Like, when God removed me from this planet, I'm going to leave knowing that I fulfill his purpose.
Right.
That's the only reason I'm free. So all the other stuff that people be around here thinking about and chasing and doing all that old funny stuff, I'm a man of integrity. If you know me, you know me. Yeah. Period. I ain't for sale. I ain't for lease. I ain't to be borrowed. I'll lend myself to you.
One thing I could say about you, you ain't chasing after no dollar. That's for real. You chasing after
too many
changing. Right. But because of what your mission is, God is going to bring all of that in order for you. I believe that. He's bringing it in order for you. You really after changing the lives of these young people. I see the passion all over you. I see the passion in what you're doing. God's going to make it happen for you. He can trust you. He can trust you with his money.
He has already, right? The only reason that I'm free and still alive is to make a difference.
Right. So he wants to get his purpose out of you.
Yeah. Because like I tell everybody, when I say us, I don't detach myself from the neighborhoods. I don't detach myself from the dope boys. I don't detach myself from the shooters. I don't detach myself from nobody. I'm them. I'm the same person, bro. Like, only difference with me is I found a way to change and a reason to change.
Yeah.
Right? I got homeboys, bro. One of my best friends from childhood. He changed his life in the world. It didn't take prison. And he was something different. But the man married with kids. He doing his thing. And he's on the other side of what we lived. And when I came home and I saw him successful in what he was doing, man, I was so proud of him.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, I literally came home and saw another one of my homeboys standing on the same corner, literally, not figuratively, literally, that he was standing on when I left. I'm like, wow. And then you wonder why these babies like this. You wonder why these young people, because they had nobody to show them different, yo. And it's my fault too. Like, I left, I went to prison, but like all of us who went to jail at that age during the 90s, what we did was we went at the height of the crack era, yo. Like, the crack era was stealing parents, right? Getting high and going to jail. And we as the young people, we was having a lot of sex and impregnating women and going to jail. So you had the crack era and teenage pregnancy all at the same time, with the men going to jail for 50, 60 years.
Leaving the mamas and the babies.
Leaving the mama with the babies. So the mothers are still kids. Without somebody in support of them to help them raise and nurture these young people. So they grew up how they had to grow up, yo. And this is no fault of their own. It's no fault of their own. But when they grew up in a lifestyle that was conducive to showing these young people a lifestyle that would grow up that's conducive for destruction. They didn't know it on purpose. They didn't do it. It was just the reality of what they was living in. And they grew up in that.
And that's the cycle.
That is the absolute cycle.
That's the cycle.
That is the absolute cycle.
When I see those kids and I see the parent, and I see them, I say, "Ooh, how they gonna grow up?" And it's almost like I want to step in and stand in the gap for the parent and kind of help plant them seeds in them to get to where they need to go. Help
Yeah,
so that
no doubt.
if it's love, whatever the nurturing they need to get them to where they need to in their life, I try to, it's like there's a drawing for me,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I think oftentimes I think that's the key.
Mhm.
Is for us as individuals to realistically look at where we are in life,
Right.
right? Look at the roles that we play. Like I be telling my nieces and stuff, like they good. Like I see other people and they had a 3-year-old, 4-year-old kid either throwing up gang signs or you got the little girls cussing, sassing, 3 or 4 years old, and they think it's cute.
Cute, and it ain't.
But it's cute until that same little baby
Huh.
become 12 or 13 years old and start putting their hands on their mama.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's cute until that happens. It's cute until that little girl or that young man go out in them streets, and if they don't respect you, they're not gonna respect nobody else. I often say, if my mama tell me what I'm doing is okay, ain't nothing you can tell me about nothing.
Right.
My
Right.
mama says
They could
straight.
be wrong.
Right? They could be a
Dead
million% wrong, but my mama gonna ride with me. So
Uh-huh.
you gotta think, what kind
My
of view
buddy.
does that give an impressionable mind?
It's not a good
Even at a
either.
young age. Even at a young age, an impressionable mind is so easy to mold. And if we're molding it for the wrong reason, because you, GD, don't mean you got to tell your son at 1.5 years old to throw up the rakes.
Mm.
Right? What do you teach? Because you out here dancing to WAP don't mean you want to tell your 2-year-old daughter to go out there and start shaking her tail. Like we got to be conscious of
What we're
literally
doing.
what we're feeding the
Right.
generations. We have to be conscious of it,
And the
especially
music
now
too.
because there's so much going on in the world right now. There's
And they
so
gonna
much
have
stuff going on with us as a community right now that we
yeah.
have to be more conscious of. It can't be routine. Some people have gotten into uh, um, just continuing their routine, whatever it is that their routine is. But life is not routine anymore. So
Mm.
now we have to take a different approach to the way that we address our issues,
Uh-huh.
right? It's really literally our kids that's dying every day, and it's become normalized. And it's all over the country. It's not just Champaign. It's not
Yeah.
just Chicago. It's all over the country
All over the
in every
country.
high hope ghetto that you can find where the murder rate is through the roof, bro. You can look it up now. You can Google it. They letting people out on house arrest now on murders because the jails are so filled.
Wow. And they building more
They
prisons.
let facts. I said in one of my pieces, they closing more schools and building more prisons.
Wow.
Like all this stuff is taking place and we're normalizing it.
Mm.
The music is telling us to normalize it. Put a song on the radio that ain't talking about getting high, shooting somebody, smoking on somebody, homie, or how many guns you carrying if you're a shoot. And then on the flip side, show me a female rapper that ain't talking about how good her sex is, how good her oral sex game is, how she can
Right.
pop it on a grown man. Show me
Mm.
these popular songs where they ain't talking about this.
Yeah, I was thinking about just the 80s music. It was a different kind of whole. Now this is just they can make money off of just saying, saying a few cuss
Hey,
words.
listen, I remember cats like Boogie Down Production,
Oh
KRS
yeah.
One, African Bambaataa, when
Sugar
they was
Hill.
Sugar Hill Gang, LL Cool J.
Yep.
I remember when they was
They was
trying
in
to
it.
ban that music. I remember when they was saying that hip hop was the worst music in the world.
Uh-huh.
But think about what we wore then. We wore African pendants back then. Remember that? The African sign, we used to wear those
Yeah.
back then. They was talking about African culture. If you listen to some of the old rap right now today, the same music they was telling us not to listen to. If you listen to it right now today, they giving lessons.
Mm.
They teaching you about yourself
Right.
in that music,
It's
right?
inspirational.
It's facts.
Yeah.
You listen to it now, they telling you like,
It's
man,
crazy.
I
I
don't need
know.
security in the club. I got my own pistol. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? So, you know, when I see a young woman with a child in the car listening to that stuff, it's just like, oh my God, poor baby.
And
I
they can sing it.
it's gonna be in their little spirit. They gonna really, they gonna be
And
becoming
they be
what they
singing it.
hear.
They
Yeah,
be singing the song with
you
the
got to
hand
make a
gestures and
change.
everything.
Yeah,
But you know, it's no judgment. It's just reality. Like I say,
yeah,
it is our culture. But this is the time now
make
where
a
we have to
change.
take control of it and change it. If
Yeah,
we don't, we're gonna continue to regurgitate the same thing that we get. Like we talking about this in 2021. I did 17, so it's been 26 years, my incarceration and my release. We've been talking about this before that,
yeah,
right? We've been talking about
yeah.
this. So in my fight, it's been 26 years, right? It's been 26 years. But they did this same fight in the 60s. They did the same fight right after the civil rights movement. They did the same fight in the 80s, did the same fight in the 90s. Just think about that.
And,
Just think about that, for real. This same topic has been going on since the end of the civil rights movement. To me, in so many ways, this is the new civil rights movement, trying to figure out a way to stop us from killing our damn self. This the new one. At first, we was fighting for
right,
equal rights
right.
and to stop other people from harming
That's
us
the way of looking
and
at
us
it.
doing well. Now the fight is, how can we stop us from harming each other? How can we stop us from killing each other? How can we better our school system? How can we educate our kids better? And what can we give them?
Right. What can we give them? Wow. Maurice,
That's
I,
it.
wow. This is, yeah. We got another day tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I thank God he releasing. I mean, and the community need to hear. It's not all about we need to hear the facts and what's going on, because a lot of people, they're in their homes, in the comfort of their home. They don't know people. Bullets come right. I had somebody get shot was it July? I'm looking out the window. I'm studying and stuff. I look, see this young man running, and he had been shot. And they were shooting so that the bullets entered into the woman's home next door in her room, which the person that was staying in that room wasn't there. But I'm just saying, you be in the comfort of your own home, so, it's just important to know. I'm bringing it to people so that they know what's going on. You're sharing, and I appreciate you this morning. You woke up early to get on the broadcast. And I know we're over time, but that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's cool. And I promise I'll spit tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say that.
I promise I'll spit tomorrow.
Yeah.
I really do. I just like, this is like, if I talk about what's going on, I don't do it to really. I don't do it to point fingers at anyone. Right. I just try to give a person a view from my lens, which is why my book is entitled Behind These Eyes.
Wow.
These are the things that I see. This is how I see it. I may not see it the way that you see it.
Right.
I see it from this standpoint. And so I'm going to give you my view from this standpoint, right? And I want to try to educate you on seeing it from the lens of someone who's actually living it. Like, one of the things I tell people now is, a lot of the solutions that we need to this pandemic that we're going through of gun violence and just violence in our communities, period, is with people who've been incarcerated for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? The men and the women who've been incarcerated. Right? I got a whole gang of brothers that are free now. And we talked about this, and we fought this from inside the walls. Right? We were mentoring, because can you imagine all the young people that was coming in and out of the jails during the time that we was there.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we
I
saw
know.
the creation of the dreads and the sagging pants from inside the jail, watching the young people come in.
So you started
And
inside the prison.
yeah, so when we see young people, and this the lessons and the teachings we got from the old heads ourselves, because they gravitated and took the time to educate us and grow us to be men. So when we saw young people coming in behind us, it was our job to do the same thing. Young brothers, 17, 18 years old, coming in jail with 60 years, 70 years, 85%. My son got 50 years. My son is serving 50 years right now in the Iowa Department of Corrections. So can you imagine seeing them kids steady coming in and in and in and out of these prisons? And it's profitable for people like poverty pimps. I always say that people make money off the plight of the people. Like you seek money off the plight of the people, bro.
Showing, yeah. Come on now.
Like, how that makes sense to you, motherfuckers? That shit don't like.
I understand.
It's crazy.
It just it can be frustrating. You're trying to hammer it home. You know, your passion is just on. You know, you just on fire because you want things to change. And I believe that you're here for a purpose, your mission. I believe God is going to use you in a way that things are going to change. Things are going to change. You on the right path. You're on the right path. I really believe that. You know, just keep on hammering it. You know, even when it comes to a rock, if you keep beating a rock, eventually it'll split. It'll break.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll break.
Yes, ma'am. It's gonna break.
Yeah,
that's real.
I encourage you. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, if you have a few final words for us, because you take off quick once you get to time.
Yeah, once I get to talking, I'll get to talking.
Yeah.
Well, the few words that I'll end with is like the whole adage does. It takes a village to raise a child. If we're concerned about our children the way that we say we are, we have to cultivate that village again. We have to provide that village for them. We can't be silent behind our doors and in our house. We can't be even divisive, right? Even divisive. And I know the politics of it all. I know all this other stuff that go on behind the scenes. But if we're being honest in what we're trying to do, then we got to utilize those people that's doing it.
Right.
You know, you got to utilize the people that have knowledge of what's going on. You got to utilize those same people that you run from and you're afraid of. Those are the people that we don't need to help solve this problem that we have. Right? It's just hands down, point blank, period. You got to go back to using those men who were incarcerated like myself. You got to go back to using those men and those women that live this kind of lifestyle. And you have to get advice from them on what needs to be done, because the people that's been trying to figure it out this long have dropped the ball tremendously. And I ain't afraid to tell your ass, like, you dropped the ball. So now you got to go get a whole new team, a whole new squad, and figure out new plays, because the plays that you got going on is like sitting inside of a huddle, right? You inside the huddle making a play, and somebody over the top of the huddle just looking in like that. We know what you're going to do already. We see it. We see you doing it. And that's how it's been for generations and generations. Same people. So now you need different people.
Right.
Right? And HV, and for this, HV stands for Hood Vote, Hood Voice, and Hood Vision.
Right.
Right? That's a terminology that was created by William Brown, the guy who created the term HV. Hood Vote, Hood Voice, Hood Vision. And those things are what's going to create the transformation in the community, right? Her voice. Utilize your voice to express what it is that the communities need, right? Utilize your vote to put in and take out those who are not doing what it is they supposed to be doing for the community. Hood vision. We paint the vision of what we want our kids' school to look like, our community to look like, our neighborhood to look like. That's us. We take onus on that.
Right.
That's why we do community cleanups. Just because you live in the ghetto, it don't have to look like the ghetto.
Like the ghetto. Woo!
Right? Take pride in where you live.
And teach your children how to pick
up.
Take
pride in where you live.
Yep.
I live in an apartment complex. But if I walk outside my door and there's trash and paper right there,
yeah.
I'm picking it up and I'm going to take it to the dumpster and drop it in there.
You preaching.
And I live in the High Hope area. I live in the hood.
Yeah.
I don't live in no suburb, but I live in the hood, yo. And I want people to understand the hood is not a place where you live. The hood is a state of mind, right? We live in prosperous, High Hope areas. If you say it's the hood and your ideal of the hood is this raggedy, torn down, demolished place, then this is what you're going to use it as.
Yeah, that's what it's
but if you
be.
say this is my crib where I live, this is where my kids going to be, I'm going to take care of that place.
Yeah, take care of it.
I'm going to take care of that place, man. I'm going to make sure my kids.
It's the mindset.
I'm going to take care of this place, man.
It's the mindset.
It's the thought. It all starts here.
Yeah, we got to lift up that standard. See,
no
the Bible talks about standard. You speaking biblical. Those are biblical principles. You're speaking.
No
really.
doubt.
It is. People don't, because you're just revealing things, and it's God has placed it in His Word. It is what it is. You just break it down, bro. That's all you're doing, and people don't even understand that. Well, it ain't scripture, that is scripture. Yes, it is.
People gonna have a whole lot of stuff to say.
I know, but they're
gonna have a whole lot of stuff to say, and they're gonna say it. And God bless them.
Yeah,
and what they saying. But
you doing a good.
Stay your ass over there.
You're doing a good job. I know sometimes you can feel, when someone gets hurt and frustrated, it kind of like, well, am I doing? It makes you question, am I doing? What am I doing? Well, yes, you are. You making a difference. Don't let the enemy make you think you ain't. You are making a difference.
Well, thank you.
And I tell you, I'm getting behind you, behind those eyes,
right.
So you, because there are more people need to come on and get behind you and push you in your back and keep you encouraged, because it can be difficult out there. You have a lot of challenges, you facing demonic things, you know what I'm saying? You facing a lot of stuff. And, I know, I've got some things posted at below. To get in touch with you. I know I always post my real talk just in case somebody got some questions they want to ask you for tomorrow, or if there's something if they want to donate, give something to help, and nothing else, somebody could give you a few dollars, you know what I'm saying? To make a difference, to help, get some kind of way. If you can't go out there and march, or you can't go out and do certain things, or you don't like being around certain music, so you might have, I don't know what your problem is, whatever it is. You can always give something to help you, in what you're doing. You need the help. You and your wife you have a beautiful wife. You all been married. You just celebrated anniversary.
Yeah, we just celebrated our third wedding anniversary, but we've been together 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, that's my baby. That's my baby over there.
Beautiful wedding picture. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, that's my baby. She gonna ride with me all the time.
Yes. And she's a strong lady. She had to be
a
strong man. I was just cheering that with her. Yeah, she's strong too. And she's very, very sweet. Very, very nice lady.
Yeah.
And I thank God for you all. I really do. I thank God for Him putting you in my life, and I,
well, thank you.
I'm gonna, stand with you, because, hey, I got grandsons, there's people I care about too. I care about the youth and what they're doing. I work with the youth, in my church for so long, and then, things happen in my life. But I still love being around young people, and I want to see them grow and prosper and don't go down the same path that we went down.
Facts.
I really do. Yeah.
We share the same goal.
Yeah, so we're going to end it there. And tomorrow we're going to have you to pick up. We're going to just talk a little bit. Try not to say we said you. We might talk after you do some spitting.
I do some spitting.
But I still want you to unload, because I think, I'm connected to, some people via Facebook, and, YouTube picks it up. This is public. Anybody all over the world can see what's going down, right, even in South Africa. And there's 45 different countries also that are in tune with what's going on. Right. So, this is a teachable moment for us. It didn't always have to be, always biblical. And the Lord said,
right,
the Lord is speaking through you, right. He's speaking through you. It might not be what we want to hear, it's spiritual, some Christian people, but it is what God is saying, and I appreciate you releasing this morning. But I'm going to end it, and I pray God's strength to be with you even today as you go throughout your day. You and your wife, y'all getting your day started. I thank God for how he's opening up doors for you, how he's making ways for you, how he's putting money in your hands to be useful in what he's put in your hands to do, because I believe he's put a great work in your hands to do. I believe he's given you Champaign-Urbana. I believe he's given you the heart of the youth to lead them and to guide them in the right way. So I just thank God for you, okay? And so I'm going to pull you backstage, and I'm going to end my segment, and then I'm going to just talk to you briefly before.
Okay.
You okay? Because I know your wife is getting ready to go to work.
Have a good day, guys.
Yeah, good. Well, that was Mr. Hayes. I'm going to have him back on tomorrow, 6 a.m. If you all are able to tune in. If you want to give to him and help him in what he's endeavoring to do in our neighborhood in Champaign-Urbana, you're part of our, our city, hey, touch bases. His office is 116 West Main Street in Urbana. His information is there on the screen. So we'll have a little bit more to share, and whatever you all want to do. You're not able to get out, like I said, there's other things you can do. But I'm going to end my segment right there. I really had a good time with him. So we'll see you tomorrow morning. You all enjoy your day, okay? And be blessed.